This is the MCX Virtus. What up, everybody? Back again with another video, and this time we're going to be talking about a gun that I've never owned this variant of, but I'm no stranger to this lineup of guns, and I've owned a few of them that I've already told you guys about in the past, but I finally got this thing and added it to my arsenal. And I've been wanting to do so for a couple of years, but it's just been kind of a back and forth with just when I'm about to buy this thing, I end up getting a rattler instead, or I end up getting a cane brake instead, or I end up getting another rattler instead. It's just always been one of those guns that I'm about to pull the trigger to buy, and then I end up getting a smaller variant of it. And I finally went ahead and decided that this was the way to go. And let me kind of talk about why I feel like this variant is the one that I was itching to get from the beginning. And I kind of made the mistake of going back and forth and just kind of avoiding this purchase for as long as I did. So for those of you that haven't followed the channel, don't know about the previous videos, I have had the Rattler in 300 Blackout, which is basically this gun, but just a little bit shorter. It's a 5.5 inch barrel as opposed to this thing, which is a 9-inch barrel. And I've also had the Rattler 5.56, and I've also had the Rattler cane brake, which is basically the same thing as the Rattler 300 Blackout, but with a with basically a faux suppressor and a wider handguard that comes pre-installed on the thing. So it's still that shorter barrel, but it pretty much fits this profile, and it looks longer because of that faux suppressor that's attached to it. So anyways, I always thought that, the shorter one looked kind of cooler, and I thought that it was just going to be something more practical because 300 Blackout, one of the benefits of it is that it does get good ballistics out of a short barrel. But, I was like, all right, I could also throw it in a backpack, whereas this thing's just too big to do that with. So that's why I always kind of was, I mean, literally going to the store to buy this thing and ended up coming home with a Rattler instead. It was just one of those weird things where I just kind of talked myself out of this one and into the Rattler. But what I've discovered, and just one of the things I just want to say before I even get into this is that, trust me when I say, I'm not always right. I'm not an expert when it comes to, all these guns and how they do in terms of ballistics and what have you. I get my information pretty much the same way that you guys do. I rely on the experts on YouTube, and I just review in terms of ownership of the gun, what my initial impressions are, what my impressions are when I'm shooting it and using it, and just kind of, giving you kind of the experience of, somebody that is looking to own one of these things, that's researching before they buy, or somebody that's debating between a couple different models. Hopefully my reviews give you kind of that little edge that you need, or that little extra push. But, I'm not an expert, okay? With that being said, the reason I bring that up is because I've made some mistakes when it comes to certain things that I've said about the whole 5.56 versus 300 Blackout debate, specifically in the video where I showcased the Rattler 5.56 versus the Honey Badger in 300 Blackout, and made the argument that the 5.56 would likely be the better option because of just the amount of ammunition that's available. If you ever needed to go out and look for ammunition, you're you were supposed to be more likely to find 5.56 rather than 300 Blackout. However, 2020 was a weird year for all of us. 2020 taught us a lot of lessons. And one of the lessons that it has taught me, and this is why I really am eating crow today, and I'm humbled before you guys, I was really wrong, okay? When it comes to the availability of ammunition and just kind of the mindset behind the weapons that you choose to, I guess, have in your arsenal for, in case shit hits the fan, if you're really looking for a defensive weapon. One of the elements that I thought was very, very big was what caliber of a weapon you're using, because if you run out of ammunition and you need to go out and find more, what's the likelihood that you're going to find something that's more of a niche, caliber versus, your ability to find something that's more common. All right. So I stockpiled a lot of 9mm and a lot of 5.56, and I thought that was the way to go. But again, in 2020, I learned the hard way that those are the calibers that ran out the first. And it was the niche calibers, like the 300 Blackout, like the 10mm round, like, some of these offset or not so popular, calibers that they're popular enough, but they're definitely not the mainstream types, right? So not the 5.56. 308 has been very hard to find. 7.62x39 has been hard to find. These are the most common rifle rounds, and yet they were the hardest to come by. And there was a drought in stores, whereas 300 Blackout was still pretty readily available. As a matter of fact, I just bought 1,000 rounds of 300 Blackout for basically what I was buying it for a couple of years ago. Yeah, a little bit more, but not by much. Definitely not to the level of inflation that we've seen with 5.56 or with 9 for that matter. So it's just been one of those things where I never thought I'd see the day where you have people that are trampling each other for freaking 2.23 or 5.56 caliber rounds, and there's a complete drought in stores. And even online. But unfortunately, like I said, 2020 kind of, it kind of shook things up a lot. It shook up our faith and, I guess the system and what to expect when things get kind of rough out there. So maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing because, again, everything that you learn from, I guess, can be looked at in a positive light. And that was 2020 for me. In comes this Sig Virtus. All right. This is the MCX Virtus in 300 Blackout. And like I said, this is the 9-inch variant. I went back to this gun because I knew all along that this is the one that I wanted. And like I said, I just kept making the decision to get the shorter variant. But this is what I feel most comfortable with in terms of an actual 300 Blackout weapon to use in defense. And I know that from some of the reviews that I've seen on the 300 Rattler, that it does very, very well in terms of ballistics, and it's out of a 5.5-inch barrel. And I think that there are going to be times when there are benefits to having that shorter barrel. But I think for the majority of times, you're better off having that extra velocity with the 9-inch barrel. And this thing is still not long enough to be considered cumbersome, and is still short enough to be able to wield pretty easily and to be able to carry around for long periods of time. God forbid we ever get into this whole debacle. But anybody that thinks it can't happen, I reference 2020 again. And a lot of things that we didn't think could happen did happen. So with that being said, it's always better to be, cautious and to be ready. And to, think things through in terms of all these factors that could play a life or death type of role in your decision making. So again, I was wrong. Maybe I'm wrong now. All right. Just disclaimer. But the 300 Blackout round, I think at this point, it's pretty safe to say that it's kind of proven itself in terms of its, in terms of its effectiveness, and in terms of how much variety of ammunition there is for 300 Blackout, and how versatile that round is. It is something that I've always liked about the round. You can, if you're in a free state and you've got the option to put a suppressor on your gun, obviously this is a great option because you can put subsonic rounds through it and, get it to function nice and quiet and still have a pretty big impact in terms of ballistics. Whereas if you don't, and you're looking for more long range effectiveness and more accuracy, you could always go with a supersonic round, and the supersonic rounds perform very, very well. So again, it's a versatile round. I don't think I need to say much about selling the 300 Blackout round to anybody. It's pretty much a round that's gaining a lot of popularity, and for good reason. So in comes this platform, and why I feel like this is still one of the best platforms to get in a 300 Blackout caliber. So I think that I've said several times in the past that these Sig guns are absolutely epic. Okay, they just fucking run. All right, they work. They're extremely reliable. They're extremely accurate. They're robust. They've got excellent build quality. They run clean. It's just a simple gun. It's all the ergonomics that you're all used to from your ARs. So there's nothing to have to relearn or retrain on. With this gun, you've got excellent rail space. You've got everything you could possibly want in an excellent, shit hits the fan type of weapon, right? It also is, it's piston driven. It has an adjustable gas block, so you can go, from suppressed to unsuppressed, and you could adjust all that if, shit gets kind of hairy up in there and it's having cycling issues. You could always turn up the gas, and that's an awesome option to have. So the fact that it's piston, in my book, you guys know that I'm a big fan of anything that's piston driven. So it's not going to be the sexiest. I mean, it's a sexy ass gun, don't get me wrong. It's not going to be the sexiest in my collection, all right? This is not going to be the fanciest. It's just going to be one of the worker bees. I'll just call it that. You guys know how I feel about the BNT, the APC 223. That thing is my favorite, okay, in terms of an actual be put to use type of gun. This is right up there with it for the same reasons as I've cited on that gun. Again, you know what you're getting with this thing. The reliability, ease of use, the ergonomics, the modularity of the Sig lineup is awesome. There's so much shit that you can change. You can completely go through and get a conversion kit for a different caliber if you wanted to. Everything's easy to take apart on this thing. It's easy to break down, just like any other AR. Really, it's got a really, really slick bolt and carrier system. It's just the bolt on this thing. I don't know what material they're using for it, but it's one of the slickest bolts you'll ever find on an AR type of platform. So there's just so much going for it that it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for this thing. The only negative thing I could say about this thing is that it's a little bit heavy for its size, but not so much so that it's going to bother you or that it's quite noticeable. I think that that weight actually helps a little bit with the recoil. They are pricey, and they've gotten much pricier over the last year, unfortunately. But it's worth it. It's definitely worth the price because these things, they work. If you want a gun that works every single time, and a gun that has been engineered to be a war rifle, okay? A battle rifle. It is definitely built with that purpose. It's not built to, to cater to the collector crowd. It's built to cater to the militaries of the world, law enforcement of the world, and civilians that want the very best in order to have as close as you can get to military or law enforcement. This is it. All right, so this is a Dead Air Muzzle Brake that I've put on here. They are really nice. I'm a big fan of the Dead Air flash hider and muzzle brake. They fit on really nice. They come with shims. So, you know, just a nice package, a really nice quality muzzle device that you can get. I got some backup sights. These are the Magpul MBus Gen 2s that are up here. Got the Eotech XPS2. This is the op mod version from Optics Planet. Pretty cool. It's just got the little branding over here on the side, but I kind of like how it looks, and it does have the QD mount on it. Also got the Parker Mountain Machine battery assist device right here. For any AR, I'm a big fan of putting a battery assist device on there because, I don't know, I just feel like taking your eye off of your optic or off your target is, you know, never a good thing, and having to slap this thing. I mean, some people are pretty keen on where that paddle is at all times, and it's really intuitive for them to you know, be able to hit it without having to really move. For me, I like ergonomics on guns that are non-ARs that have them embedded into the lower, to where you can you also have like a bolt catch and a bolt release button that's embedded into the lower. I like that because I don't want to think. I just want everything to be done with my trigger finger if possible. So a battery assist device is always awesome to have, because the actual bolt release is a little bit different on the SIGs than it is on a standard AR. If you were to get something like a Magpul bad lever or something, it's not going to fit quite right. So Parker Mountain Machine, PMM, they have a awesome one that they've built. It's nice and lightweight. It fits on perfectly, nice and tight. They give you some blue Loctite too for the screws, and everything's been perfect with this thing. And it just makes things a lot more convenient to be able to lock open your bolt by pressing up, and to let it go by pressing down. So really, really cool, and just a nice little option to add there. One of the things that I hate about these SIGs, probably the only thing, is they usually come with the brace on here that kind of just pivots and rotates all the way around. And it's just a rubber backing over here, and it sucks. Okay, it just, the thing moves all over the damn place. And it's just, it's one of those questionable things. I have no idea why they incorporated that into the rest of this brace system. Gearheadworks actually has an adapter that stops the spin on this thing. So this part right here is the adapter. It goes for about 30 bucks. And that way you could put a Mod 1 or a Mod 1C tail hook on this thing. This is a Mod 1C, and it is fixed. As you can see, so it's nice and tight on there, and it just gives you a much more positive feel on the brace. Moving up to the front again, this is a Fortis Handstop. This is the carbon fiber model. So these are aluminum, feel really nice. They are M-LOK, and they just have the carbon fiber insert over here. It kind of looks cool, especially with the color tones of the gun, being that this is concrete gray, and there's a lot of black on the gun, so it just kind of fits that whole thing really well. And I honestly cannot remember who makes these, but they're like rail scales. They're polymer. I had them laying around, and I wanted to put them to use, so forgive me because I can't remember who makes them, but they feel really nice. They fit really nice. They fit on nice and tight. They got some blue Loctite on them, so no complaints there. And that's pretty much it. There's not a whole heck of a lot that you have to do with these. They have excellent triggers out of the box. It's a battle trigger. It's not, you know, it's not a Geisley or anything like that, but it is nice and crisp. It's pretty lightweight. It's 4.5 pounds. You can put any type of AR grip that you want on this thing. This is SIG's, and it's got a really nice angle to it. It sits really nice, so I have no complaints with it. If you're thinking about, you know, whether to get this or the Rattler or any one of the other, like if you wanted the full-size rifle, they're all great. They all do the same damn job. The only thing I would stress is just, if you're looking at the Rattler in 5.56, maybe not the best option just in terms of ballistics. It's probably a good PDW weapon just to have at short distances, but I would think anything, you know, outside of 20 yards or so, 25 yards or so, it's probably not going to be your best option. But this thing right here, for, you know, not really sacrificing too much more length, it does everything that that gun does better and at longer distances. So with that being said, guys, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. As always, I will be coming at you with some videos in the future that are going to be more about the accessories and some other toys that we've got here. I'm not going to call them toys. I'm going to call them tools, because they really are things that you should always consider as well if you're in the gun game. It's not just about the guns, but it's about what else you have to help you out at the range, or to help you out if you're ever in a situation to have to use your guns in real world. So we'll talk about some of that stuff coming up in the coming weeks. But until then, guys, please leave your comments in the comments section. Looking forward to reading and answering any questions that you may have. And stay tuned, guys. Take care. Everybody be safe.